Conor McGregor is a name that instantly evokes strong reactions, often initially dismissed by his harshest critics as a fighter who relied solely on his charismatic talk to sell pay-per-views. However, his unprecedented, destructive run through both the featherweight and lightweight divisions paints an entirely different and undeniably lethal picture of his martial arts prowess. Earning his permanent place in the annals of combat sports history, he became the very first man to ever hold two Ultimate Fighting Championship titles simultaneously. With a resume boasting devastating knockouts over legendary figures like Jose Aldo, Eddie Alvarez, and Dustin Poirier, McGregor emphatically backed up his boisterous noise with one of the most decorated meteoric rises the sport has ever witnessed. Behind the brash bravado lay a calculated sniper, a martial artist whose mastery of distance and timing allowed him to systematically dismantle anyone who dared to stand across the octagon from him. One of the earliest doubters to violently learn this painful lesson was Marcus Brimage, a fighter who simply could not understand what all the monumental hype surrounding the brash Irishman was truly about. Heading into their clash at UFC on Fuel TV 9 in April of 2013, Brimage was explicitly tasked with the perilous duty of welcoming Conor McGregor to the premier fighting organization. McGregor had already arrived as an established champion in two entirely different weight divisions at Cage Warriors, riding a massive wave of international anticipation. Yet, Brimage remained entirely unimpressed by the grand spectacle, publicly dismissing McGregor as incredibly cocky and immensely arrogant. Brimage felt deeply insulted, openly stating that McGregor viewed him merely as a convenient stepping stone, a dangerous sentiment, echoed by the media that only fueled the rising tensions before their inevitable collision. When Marcus Brimage was pressed by reporters about McGregor's unorthodox approach to fighting, specifically the Irishman's bizarre claim that the opponent standing across from him did not actually matter, he had a remarkably sharp and dismissive answer ready to fire back. Brimage claimed there was nothing but air in McGregor's head, questioning what would actually happen when the Irishman encountered a truly different and unpredictable challenge inside the cage. He confidently asserted that every single fighter has telltale signs, predictable physical patterns that can be mercilessly exploited if you look closely enough. McGregor, however, was completely unfazed by this early attempt at psychological warfare, passionately telling absolutely anyone who would listen that this grand moment was divinely made for him. He insisted that the specific opponent never factored into his complex equation, clarifying that this mindset was not born of disrespect, but rather an intense, singular focus on chasing his own ultimate dream of greatness. The moment the referee signaled the start of the bout, McGregor wasted no time proving his bold assertions, systematically picking Brimage apart with pinpoint accuracy before finally dropping him heavily to the canvas with a devastatingly crisp uppercut. He brutally finished the highly anticipated fight in just over a single frantic minute, leaving the watching world in absolute awe of his striking fluidity. After securing the spectacular victory, McGregor immediately stole the show on the microphone, famously screaming out to the promotion's president for a $60,000 bonus. He walked away that historic evening with the coveted Knockout of the Night award, ensuring his debut was truly unforgettable for everyone involved. Furthermore, he graciously clarified that he took none of Brimage's pre-fight insults personally, calmly suggesting his opponent had simply become far too emotionally attached to the chaotic situation and deeply upset by passionate Irish fans invading his personal social media pages. With his explosive promotional debut successfully out of the way, McGregor rapidly strung together a series of spectacular wins, eventually securing a deeply emotional return to his homeland for a monumental headliner against Diego Brandao. This highly anticipated event in July 2014 was scheduled to be McGregor's very first main event slot and his inaugural fight in front of his rabid hometown supporters in Dublin. Brandao had bravely stepped into the fierce spotlight as a short-notice replacement for the injured Cole Miller, instantly inheriting the intense media scrutiny and immense pressure. Unsurprisingly, at the chaotic pre-fight press conference, Brandao was notably unimpressed by the colorful array of insults McGregor had been loudly broadcasting about his skills. Echoing a suddenly familiar theme among McGregor's early opponents, Brandao openly labeled the charismatic Irishman a clown, sternly warning him that the impending violent clash would not be nearly as easy as his endless talking suggested. Refusing to be intimidated by the roaring crowds or the sheer magnitude of the international spotlight, Brandao defiantly kept the intense disrespect flowing during his subsequent pre-fight interviews a few days later. He aggressively doubled down on his previous insults, angrily reiterating that McGregor was nothing more than a foolish clown who only succeeded in making the attending press laugh with his ridiculous, over-the-top antics. When questioned by journalists about how he emotionally processed such vicious taunts, Brandao famously quipped that McGregor's mother had clearly never slapped him in the face when he was a misbehaving child. He fiercely promised the media that he would happily step in to be McGregor's disciplinarian father when Saturday night finally arrived. McGregor, ever the master of mental warfare, remained completely unbothered by these hostile labels and immediately went right back to verbally picking the upcoming fight apart with staggering, almost prophetic confidence. In response to the mounting tension, McGregor beautifully articulated his unique psychological approach to the fight game, calmly explaining that pressure is nothing more than an elaborate mental illusion. He fearlessly declared that he actively desired this suffocating illusion of pressure to be heaped upon his shoulders, begging his detractors to give him even more of it. He promised the world that when he easily put Brandao away, the stunned masses would be left desperately wondering how he managed to perform such incredible gravity-defying feats. When the fateful night finally arrived, the packed arena was transformed into a deafening, pulsating sea of vibrant green, and McGregor flawlessly delivered precisely what he had so boldly predicted. He violently knocked the Brazilian veteran out cold before the grueling first round was even close to being over, sending the raucous Dublin crowd into an absolute unbridled frenzy of nationalistic celebration. Following the breathtaking stoppage, McGregor brilliantly utilized the massive global platform to firmly set an ominous, lingering tone for absolutely everything that was destined to follow in his storied career. Grabbing the microphone with undeniable, absolute authority, he passionately screamed that it was a magnificent clean sweep for the triumphant Irish fighters competing that night. He famously roared into the camera, reminding everyone of his previous declaration that they were not merely there to take part in the sport, but rather, they had officially arrived to completely take over the entire industry. With the emotional Dublin victory firmly behind him, the promotion quickly lined the surging star up for his very first officially ranked opponent, the incredibly dangerous Dustin Poirier. Poirier represented a massive step up in elite competition, acting as the ultimate, unforgiving gatekeeper that McGregor absolutely needed to vanquish to be taken seriously as a legitimate featherweight championship contender. Heading directly into the massive UFC 178 pay-per-view event in September of 2014, the deeply intense psychological warfare rapidly reached entirely unprecedented levels of raw animosity. During the chaotic media day obligations, an irritated Poirier made it abundantly clear that he genuinely believed McGregor's towering mountain of hype was miles ahead of his actual tangible achievements inside the octagon. Poirier bluntly told reporters the honest truth. He had fought significantly tougher men in the past and felt that if McGregor could actually fight even half as well as he spoke, he might actually pose a real threat. McGregor, possessing a completely different tactical perspective, saw massive, exploitable holes in his opponent's formidable armor. He publicly diagnosed Poirier with a glaring physical weakness, ruthlessly claiming the American's chin was highly suspect, while patronizingly referring to him as a quiet little hillbilly from the absolute back arse of nowhere. McGregor confidently guaranteed the hungry media that he would crack Poirier heavily with a stiff jab, watch him wobble dangerously on unsteady legs, and then aggressively put him away early for a devastating first-round knockout. Astoundingly, McGregor's incredibly bold prediction held up to reality almost exactly to the very second. Less than 2 chaotic minutes into the opening frame, the Irishman landed a monstrous left hand that instantly put Poirier down on the canvas, abruptly finishing the highly anticipated fight. Following his first truly monumental victory over a marquee name, McGregor surprisingly adopted a far more measured and philosophical tone during his post-fight interviews. He eloquently reminded everyone to make absolutely no mistake. While he is fiercely cocky in his predictions and supremely confident in his grueling preparations, he always remains deeply humble in both victory and defeat. Poirier later heartbreakingly admitted that he had gotten far too emotional, allowing McGregor's relentless words and the critics to negatively affect his performance. With the dangerous Poirier successfully handled, McGregor found himself standing directly on the elusive doorstep of a highly coveted world title shot. The grand stage was perfectly set for a monumental clash against the reigning featherweight kingpin, Jose Aldo, at the blockbuster UFC 189 event scheduled for July 2015. However, the unpredictable nature of combat sports intervened when a devastating rib injury abruptly knocked the Brazilian champion completely out of the heavily promoted contest. In a shocking twist of fate, the powerful American wrestler, Chad Mendes, courageously stepped into the frightening void, agreeing to fight for the interim championship title with only 2 short weeks to adequately prepare. This dramatic, late-notice change of opponent completely altered the dynamic of the historic event, forcing both elite warriors to rapidly adjust their specialized training camps on the absolute fly while dealing with immense media pressure. At the incredibly tense pre-fight press conference, McGregor wasted absolutely zero time aggressively framing the narrative surrounding his dangerous new opponent. He viciously promised the attending journalists that he was going to literally kill the man sitting directly across the stage from him. He mercilessly insulted Mendes' physical stature, derisively referring to the elite wrestler as a little 5'2" twerp who should have kept his loud mouth firmly shut. McGregor casually swore to physically slap the face right off of his opponent, treating the elite contender with overwhelming, palpable disdain. Unwilling to simply sit there and absorb the relentless verbal abuse, Mendes furiously fired right back, angrily promising to completely embarrass the brash Irishman in front of the entire world. Mendes looked McGregor dead in the eye and chillingly swore to completely destroy his life once they were locked inside the unforgiving steel cage together. The boiling animosity reached a terrifying fever pitch at the official weigh-ins the following day, where the 2 furious men physically had to be pulled apart by security personnel. McGregor confidently closed the dramatic show with one final, deeply cutting dig, labeling Mendes an overblown coward and vividly promising the roaring crowd that he would literally cut the wrestler in half to raise gold for Ireland. When the highly anticipated fight finally commenced, Mendes masterfully executed his exact game plan, powerfully taking McGregor down to the mat and exhausting him with grueling top pressure for the vast majority of 2 agonizing rounds. Despite being battered from the bottom, McGregor astonishingly continued to talk trash the entire agonizing way through the perilous ordeal. Late in the dramatic second round, McGregor perfectly caught a visibly gassing Mendes with a spectacular left hand, viciously finishing him with brutal ground strikes to gloriously claim the interim title. Despite the immense, venomous pre-fight hostility, Mendes graciously gave McGregor his total, unreserved respect inside the bloody cage, honestly admitting that the Irishman simply caught him with a devastating shot and was undoubtedly the better man that chaotic night. With the shiny interim belt now securely fastened around his waist, McGregor was finally officially booked to face the very man who he claimed had cowardly ducked him in July. The explosive lead-up to the monumental clash with Jose Aldo was truly unlike anything the combat sports world had ever previously witnessed. The highly anticipated UFC 194 event in December 2015 was the elusive, magical fight the entire globe had been eagerly waiting for. McGregor and Aldo had famously crossed paths on an exhausting, months-long international world tour, making chaotic media stops across two massive continents, while their deep mutual hatred steadily grew into an unstoppable inferno. The incredibly intense, exhausting buildup had rapidly become as much of a massive, captivating story as the impending physical fight itself. Aldo, who had dominantly held the undisputed featherweight belt since 2009, was absolutely not going to allow himself to be talked down to by an arrogant Irishman possessing merely a few promotional wins. Aldo publicly dismissed McGregor as a foolish clown who simply liked to talk loudly and make gullible people laugh, insisting there was nothing more to his game. He sarcastically apologized for being completely unable to fight the last time they were scheduled, promising to brutally kick McGregor's ass when the time finally had arrived to settle the score. Aldo also harshly criticized McGregor's interim title victory, pointing out that Mendes was easily kicking his ass on the ground and mockingly questioning if McGregor even understood what basic jiu-jitsu or wrestling actually was. Aldo noted that Mendes had valiantly taken the brutal fight on mere 2 weeks' notice, yet still managed to make McGregor look completely helpless, comparing the Irishman to a stranded turtle stuck on its back. McGregor viciously fired right back, and his devastating verbal shot at Aldo landed with significantly more impact than absolutely anything else said during the exhausting press tour. He sadistically pointed out that the grueling 5-round war Aldo previously had with Mendes had permanently rearranged the Brazilian's facial features. McGregor cruelly claimed Aldo hadn't looked physically right ever since, bluntly stating that the champion looked like he had recently suffered a massive stroke, with the entire left side of his face visibly drooping. McGregor condescendingly mocked Aldo, sarcastically claiming he honestly loved him and simply wanted to ensure the damaged champion was medically okay to compete. When the heavy steel cage doors finally emphatically closed under the bright lights of Las Vegas, the monumental fight was shockingly over before it ever truly began. Aldo emotionally charged forward with reckless aggression, and McGregor flawlessly countered with a picture-perfect left hand that instantly rendered the longest reigning featherweight champion in UFC history completely unconscious on the canvas in merely 13 seconds. After the unbelievable victory, an uncharacteristically reflective McGregor admitted he felt a fleeting moment of deep sorrow for the fallen Jose Aldo. He openly appreciated that his bitter rival had bravely made the long journey to show up, acknowledging that Aldo likely had multiple easy options to pull out of the frightening contest once again, but honorably chose to stick around. With the undisputed featherweight crown secured, McGregor ambitiously aimed for lightweight glory. But when Rafael dos Anjos withdrew, the infamous Nate Diaz stepped into the chaotic picture. Diaz had been relentlessly calling the superstar out for months, famously grabbing a microphone in December 2015 to aggressively accuse McGregor of stealing everything he had worked his entire life for. Diaz boldly proclaimed himself the true, authentic money fight, dismissing McGregor's previous opponents as weak clowns who were easily punked. Stepping in on a mere 11 days' notice for a stunning welterweight bout at UFC 196 in March 2016, Diaz shockingly did exactly what he promised, violently submitting McGregor in the dramatic second round and handing the Irishman his very first promotional loss. A deeply humbled yet determined McGregor demanded an immediate rematch, promising to return sharper and correctly prepared for the looming UFC 202 clash 5 months later. The resulting battle was an absolute 5-round war of attrition, with McGregor narrowly edging out a majority decision and expressing profound, genuine respect for Diaz's legendary, unbreakable durability. With that incredibly bloody rivalry temporarily settled at 1 victory apiece, McGregor shifted his laser-focused attention toward making unprecedented history at lightweight, where the tough Eddie Alvarez was confidently waiting with the golden belt. The colossal UFC 205 event in November 2016 served as the promotion's historic, inaugural event at Madison Square Garden, offering McGregor the rare chance to simultaneously hold 2 division titles. Alvarez attempted to mentally break McGregor by attacking his impoverished past, furiously shouting that the Irishman had hypocritically taken welfare money from single mothers. Alvarez confidently promised to completely destroy McGregor and permanently silence the massive roaring crowd. However, when the opening bell violently rang, Alvarez painfully discovered that every single terrifying promise McGregor made was entirely real. McGregor systematically dropped him 3 devastating times in the opening round, before brutally finishing him with a flawless 4-punch combination in the second round to cement his immortal legacy. Standing victorious with 2 shimmering belts draped proudly over his shoulders, McGregor famously grabbed the microphone to deliver the iconic line that would forever define the magical evening, vehemently apologizing to absolutely nobody because the double champion does whatever he wants. Following this absolute zenith, he stepped away from MMA for a lucrative boxing spectacle, eventually returning to suffer a chaotic defeat to Khabib Nurmagomedov that ended in an ugly cage-side brawl. He spectacularly bounced back in January 2020 at UFC 246, obliterating the highly decorated veteran Donald Cerrone in a breathtaking 40 seconds with vicious shoulder strikes and a lethal head kick, despite proudly making history by securing knockout victories across 3 separate weight divisions. His subsequent years have been terribly rough, dropping back-to-back losses to Dustin Poirier in 2021. Now, with swirling rumors of a massively anticipated return against his old rival Max Holloway, the entire combat sports world waits with bated breath, nervously wondering what spectacular violence will unfold when the cage doors inevitably lock once more.